Hi, it's Peter Vaughan here. I just made a blooper, so I had to laugh and cut that reel out and starting it again. Alright, most people know me as the numbers guy who does numerology. Well, 40 years ago I was introduced to numerology, and when somebody mentioned that word to me I said, what's that? Because I hated maths. I went through school and really didn't like it. It ruined my life. Now I deal with numbers all the time. But numerology, as I discovered, it's not about numbers. It's like saying I'm talking to you in words and sentences and paragraphs, but I'm not talking about the letters that make up the words, yet they're important. You can't hear the letters coming out, but if I asked you to spell what I had just said, you'd write it down letter by letter. So here are the letters, and they're arranged, there's 26 in our alphabet, and not everybody knows that from straight off, but now I've said it, you've probably got it. So A to I is 1 to 9. J, which is the 10th letter of the alphabet, goes through to the 18th letter, which is R, which is also in the column 1 to 9. Because if R is 18, you just add those two numbers together and you'll get 9. S to Z, which finishes here in the 8th column. S is the 19th letter of the alphabet. So you've got 9, 18, 19, right through to 26. 2 and 6 is 8. Whenever you get a double digit, you add it together and find what that number is. Now that number is a base, very much a base number, because Z might be 8, but it's also 26. But without going to that yet, what I want to do is explain something here. That if we can convert the letters to numbers, or the numbers to letters, which is what happened many years ago, and the ancient Greeks and Romans, they would do this kind of stuff. They'd transfer things around. So you might remember seeing some of the letters or the numbers on clock faces, etc., because that's what we have as Roman numerals per se, and now the letters. Going from there into here, when I'm saying that numerology is not about numbers, here's 9/11. Now 9/11 in America, if you can recall that, 9/11, I'm using two numbers, but you'll have film footage up here of buildings coming down and plumes of dust and smoke and planes hitting buildings and all that sort of thing. So 9/11 then, two numbers are like speaking to you in a language that converts the no thing here in your mind into something. So if I came up to this person and I was Japanese and I went arigato, this person might go something like this. What the? What? Didn't understand that. So I go, oh, that's right, I'm in a foreign land. So I would then say, hello. And the person would go in their mind, hi. So words convert to pictures or comprehension. So underneath that here, I've now got, under the words bit, Lettrology, which is this up here. I've trademarked it because it's a new word that I formed, because it explained that the sounds of words affect us. They program us, and our minds work with comprehension purely because we're able to convert words into images in our head using this language, and it will affect your emotions. Once it does that, I've then got another tool that comes into play, which is timelines, seeing what's happening in your life. So going down here then, so Lettrology is about the language that reveals everything. So if I ask you right now not to see what I'm about to say, so blank your mind out, and if I say don't see a green apple on a wooden chopping board that's just been cut through with a knife, so much so that their halves have fallen apart and you can see the black pips inside and the stick and the little fluffy bit on the outside and a bit of a bruise. You cannot help to see that. The subconscious sees it before the consciousness does. It's the way in which things happen. Now, that being revealed and out the way, I brought up here 9/11. Now what's interesting about that, if you add up 9 and 11, you'll get the number 20. But if I add up 9, 10, 11, so you've just got the number 11, 1 plus 1 is also 2, which is this here. So whether it's 20 or 2, it still comes to the number 2. Coming over this side, we've just come through this thing, or going through this thing called COVID 2019. It's been shortened to 2019, but it's COVID 2019. By converting the word COVID into its numerical form, we get the numbers underneath that, and you can see up there that they are the numbers beneath those letters. Adding up those numbers together, you get the number 26. If you add 2 and 6 together, you'll get the number 8. So the word COVID adds up to, or sums to, the number 8. COVID 219, you add up those numbers there. 2 and 1 is 3, and 9 is 12. 1 plus 2 is 3. So therefore 8 and 3 equals 11, or 2. What is the big thing about COVID 2019? It invokes fear on people. You've got to wear a mask. You've got to get a vaccine. You've got to be isolated. You've got to be locked down. Oh. And now the world is starting to realise that COVID 2019 is more like a hoax than a pandemic. Influenza kills more people than this thing does. But fear creates problems in people. So those people who have started to realise that this is not as bad as it was, what it has done is just crashed the economy. Terrible stuff happening there. That's where the damage has been done. Suicide has gone up. So this may not have done that much damage. It's what they've done with it. And why? Well, this is where you get into the so-called conspiracy theories. But the funny thing is, or not so funny, is it a conspiracy theory or is it a conspiracy? What thing less than a common cold would lock the world down? And who's behind it? What I'd like to do here is then, the year 2020 equals 4. 2 plus 2 equals 4. And I called it last year double death. When somebody last year to me in October said to me, what's 2020 going to be like? Because I'm known for predicting the future. And I said, because they didn't like 2019, it's got to be better than 2019. And I said, no, it's going to be double death. And they said, what do you mean? I said, well, 2020 is death. You see, I'll just help. Here's another little thing here. The word in Egypt for death is ka. Now, that is the way in which they would sound something like you're dead, dying, dead, you're just gone, death. And that's the 11th letter of the alphabet, the 8th and the 1st. So I could reduce that to 2, 8 and 1. 8 and 2 is 10 and 1 is 11. If I took it to the full count of the letter K, which is 11, 11 and 8 is 19 and 1 is 20. So it still comes to the number 2. Doesn't matter what you do with it. That was the word for an image of a bird man. So it's a bird with a man's head and a beard. It looks like a beak, but it's a bird man. And in front of that is a black moon. And that is a symbol for death. And it's called Ka. That and that. Now, isn't it interesting that the word death here, I'm going to have a look at that one. Let's do it together. D-E-A-T-H. D is the 4th letter. E is the 5th letter. A is the 1st letter. T is the 20th letter. That's 9, 18, 19, 20, which is 2. And H is the 8th letter there. So I'll just write those down. 4, 5, 1, 2, and 8. 4 and 5 is 9, 1 is 10, 12, and 8 equals 20. So if I have 20 there, 2020 therefore is double death. Now, when this person asked me about this year, which is 2020, this is the first day of October 2020, by the way, and America's going to have that tomorrow because we're the first country in the world to have it. I'm just going to read you just an excerpt of what I wrote on my website, petervaughan.net. When you go to that website and you scroll down until you find a picture that's got gold bullion as a picture, and you'll be reading what I've got here with what I wrote. So I'll read you a wee bit of it. So it's written and published on the 20th of October 2019. So what can you do to make the most out of the 2020 year's rippling effects on our planet and on your life? I'd like to think the leaders of powerful countries maintain stability, as any provocations will likely upset others and the fallouts can follow, affecting markets, exports, imports, currency changes and sanctions, which will cause more grief. Finance could take a hit as did with the sublime collapse between 2007 and 2009, because it started to collapse in 2007. It could bring a massive market correction really fast, but how do you know what you should do and when? If people are going to be subjected to these effects over the next 14 months, I'm talking about leading up to 2020 now, slowly beginning this November, that was 2019, and continuing through to December 2020, which is literally in 2 months' time actually. How are we all going to know what to do for the best effect and constructive outcomes at individual levels or those of our families and loved ones? Remember, I called it double death. Next paragraph. In 2019, Brexit is still a very hot potato. Al Noor Mosque in Christchurch, which had the big problem, is a target for alleged terrorism. Prince Harry is just distancing himself from the royals. Pike River Mine, that's a mine in New Zealand it blew up, and there's a lot of controversy about that. And so forth. I've got 5G is coming under attack. Microwave dangers, measles goes rampant. It's almost like there's an escalating thing coming up to 220. So then it's headed, so what may unfold in 220? And this is what I wrote. First, pay attention to the small matters, otherwise minor thoughts considered not important will become important. Balance your material and physical health. Nations and international tensions may potentially reach tipping point. The financial markets need careful consideration as debt is pushing for a possible market correction. And interest increases on loans may see many mortgagee sales. Gold is also a harmonic of 20, and it may become the focus of stability more than ever for financial balance. The word gold, and same as the word death, adds up to the number 20. Try it out. Prime Minister, that's of New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern, looks to be acting like a headless chicken, rushing about, making many mistakes, and loses the election in late 2020. Our elections are this month in 16 days' time, on the 17th of October. I say headless chicken here, prior to the year coming up, because it's like a mass panic. What do I do? What am I going to do to stop, to control, to help, to hold? Absolute everywhere. So she looks like to be acting like a headless chicken, rushing about, making many mistakes, and loses the election in late 2020. And Deputy Prime Minister Winston Peters, his life turns to severe stress from October 2020. Yesterday, in the courts of Auckland, he is under investigation by the Serious Fraud Office. In other words, he's under real pressure right now. He went in thinking that he was going to win a particular crisis that's going on in his life, where suspect of fraud is going on, and now he's gone into court for it. And I wrote this, remember, last year in October the 20th. So his life turns to severe stress from October 2020 and gets worse thereafter. He will probably survive one way or another, in or out of politics, but he looks to be a complete goner in 2022. That's in another 2 years' time, starting soon after his April birthday, and 2023 looks to be really bad for him. As there are well over 7 billion people on the planet, and you are but one of them, who has hopefully been able to read this, which I'm reading to you now, before the impact of 2020 kicks in, I've been sending out our updated profile reports for my existing clients for the year ahead. And for those who come across my site and want one for themselves, that provides insights into their personal lives. So you can get your own personal report. There are about somewhere between 19 and 30 odd pages of material going there. You can order it on the site, and you will go to the story and look at that. But when you do go to place an order for your profile report, you're going to find that the work I've written down over the years has been perfected to match every individual that comes in. It's quite surprising how accurate they are. When you get down to the part where people want to get a profile report, you've even got 2 video clips there that you can see when I was on television and doing certain things. Click on one and have a look at how I performed in 2003, 2004. They were taken that long ago. But you'll see where I've now come to down the track a wee ways. So Therefore, if the word death adds up to 20, COVID 2019 is a death number, and people certainly have been accused of dying of it. The word car adds up to 2, which is death. 9/11 was the death of the Twin Towers and the 3,000 odd people in there. All these numbers too come up. What I'm doing for people now is conducting course material online. I'm going to do a video after this one, and I'm going to put them up online, or put this one up online, and just telling people about the courses I do. The courses, what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to bring this up to the camera so you can see it, but it's a graph or a chart of what I look at when a file comes in, and my computer, thank goodness for that, is able to pull a name to pieces. It puts it in particular algorithms and then finds files that match up perfectly with your individual bits and pieces and fires it back with a profile report on you and a forecast. And at this stage, you would get a forecast from January 2020 right through to October of 2021. Quite comprehensive. So that is what a chart looks like. And the middle part there is Bill Gates' chart, and on the sides are indications of what the chart represents when I teach this. So this is advanced numerology. And again, it's not about numbers, because this is made up of letters and numbers. And on here I can see that Bill Gates is heading downhill very shortly. Next year for him, 2021, he goes down for almost like, oh, what have I got to do now? I'm learning a big lesson. Tries to make it good in 2022, and from 2023 onwards, he goes down, and he might even go out. He's in a really, really bad run. And as far as I'm concerned, that's just the way it is from what you do when you're playing in the big league, and people don't like what you're doing. So this is here, what I do. This is a very, very small part of what I do. Go and have a look at the story. Go to my website, order yourself a profile report. You'll be fascinated by what's in there. I'm doing more than that for people, because behind what I do here, job security, your partners, your children, your home, the schools, traveling, your ailments that you've got in your body, you could be getting sick, and I can look at those things ahead of time. People who have suicided, who may suicide, they can be detected, and they can also be helped to overcome their problems, because everything is always moving. And you can pick up the bad spots and all the good spots that people have. If you want to know what your life's all about, where you're going in your future, I can prove it by going back into your past and all sorts of other wizardry things I do. Thank you for taking the time to watch this. Please share it, because people need to know this for their own sake. I'm going to pull up my other board up here shortly and go through. In fact, what I'll do, just to tease you, I'm just going to put this up on the board like this. And I'm going to be talking about this in my introduction to my course to other people, to show how charts work and how to read the past, present and future, and when bad times are ahead and how to do that. This is one hell of a fun science. Peter Vaughan, down here in New Zealand. Take care out there, because I do care, and thanks for watching.